lately we've been hearing a lot more about data governance and security. Why do you think that's becoming much more of a hot topic now?
Cybersecurity, like data breaches, are just a huge topic right now. I mean, you see these, billions of records. So, shout out to Troy Hunt, who does, he runs Have I Been Pwned, and his service has been integrated with password managers like 1Password, and that has become such a big topic because of all of the, voting validation, for example, or political interference, government interference, just everything in terms of data breaches, dark web. It's just such a huge thing, and as more time goes by, more of our data is in the cloud, right? Like our identities are out there. Like if you guys use Dropbox, or whatever it might be, your data is going to be in the cloud, right? So you want to make sure that that's secure.
Absolutely.
And that's why it's got to be a pivotal, primary focus.
Along that line, and you don't need to divulge names or anything, but has there ever been an issue that if you could go back and do it again related to security and data governance, where you've learned a lesson the hard way that you could share?
I mean, it really just, we learned the lesson the hard way when it came to backup. We had a customer that they were not using a robust backup solution, but they had an admin who accidentally updated several records, and we had no way of getting those records back, and we had to revert a lot of those records to, I think, a week prior, which is when the last export was done. And there was two sides to that, right? Like, it was, first of all, that admin should not have had the ability to do that.
Right.
Second of all, shouldn't have taken a customer service representative to find out that, hey, these records are messed up and last updated by was this person. We should have been notified of a bulk update or something along those lines. And then a way to quickly restore back to a point in time that is not detrimental to the business. And then ever since then, they went with a more robust backup solution. And I haven't heard of any problems since.
And again, like in that same vein of conversation, what do you think about the retirement of the Salesforce data recovery services?
So it makes sense. Like I read the blog post about it where they announced it, and everything they said makes sense, right? Like if I lose data, if I'm a customer and I lose data and I have to wait 6 to 8 weeks to get that data back, I mean, the dollar amount, I don't care, right? Like that's pennies. But the time it takes to get that data back, and then I have to upload it again, and if it's a full data, true data loss, you get the referential integrity issues, right? Like I'm going to be creating new records in the system. Those are going to get different IDs, so any external systems that we're pulling or referencing those records have to also be updated. It's a nightmare. And I get it from Salesforce's perspective, right? Like it takes 6 to 8 weeks to actually pull from the backups and then verify them and send them back to the customer. And that just it didn't make sense.
No, it makes sense. And just one final serious question before we do a fun question.
Okay.
What is one piece of advice you would give to a budding architect, like the ones that you're growing here at Acumen? What piece of advice would you give around data security and the projects that you're doing? It's like that one thing you think they need to know.
Data security, specifically. Like I think the one thing that they need to know, not related to data security, is version control. How that plays into the Salesforce ecosystem. But if we're talking about data security, let's talk about sharing architecture. Who has access to what records, and what are the mechanisms within Salesforce that give you access to not only just records, but fields, and then how to be able to adopt the least privilege model so that your users are getting access to only the data that they need, versus giving everybody full rewrite on everything, right?
And how do you start to have that conversation with a customer who says, well, I don't want to have to come back and ask for those. How do you start to convince a customer of that least privilege rights?
Least privilege? I would say that it's best practices from the National Institutes of Science and Technology, NIST. And there's a reason for that, right? Like you want to make sure that your data breaches, if you do have a user credential breach, that they are limited to whatever data that user had versus having full access to everything. and you don't want to have your users to have access to data that's in your system. Like if I use Salesforce, I'm not going to use it for an application. Right? I'm using Salesforce for many, many different features, right? It might be HR, it might be call center, it might be customer service or communities. I don't need my call center agents having access to my HR data, right? So being able to audit that and being able to enforce it is critical for customers to be able to say we need it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't have any trouble talking to a customer and being like, you guys need to have a more strict data enforcement model. And usually they come to us.
Yep.
Again, public sector, it is very least privilege model, right? But on the commercial side, it's usually a little bit more flex. But following best practices is really the way they want to go.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So to wrap us up, just one fun question: what's something that you like to do outside of Salesforce, outside of work? What's your passion?
Gaming.
Gaming.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I like whenever I play video games or anything like that, I think about architecture. So I started listening to this live ops podcast. But anything that I can do, I'm a nerd. Right? Like anything computer technology wise. If we don't want to talk about that, I have a new baby.
Oh,
so,
nice! Congratulations.
Yeah,
that keeps you busy. Yeah,
that keeps you busy. So yeah, I mean, it's usually that stuff. But personal time, it's gonna be gaming. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for allowing me to take part.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks.